Hi knitters, welcome to PJ Knits. My name's Penny and I'm from Central Illinois, and you happened upon my YouTube podcast all about knitting. Well, maybe not all about knitting. Anyway, it is Tuesday, June 18th in Central Illinois, and tomorrow my friend Debbie and I are heading up to Rochester, Minnesota for the weekend for ZK 2019, and we are so looking forward to it. It's third time we will have been there, and I'm hoping that I can get her to podcast while we're up there and talk about our weekend. We are so excited to be seeing some friends and spending time with them. We will be doing some knitting adventures, she and I, and it's just going to be a great, great weekend. So that's what's planned for the weekend. But until then, I wanted to get a podcast in and talk about what's going on the rest of the summer. So I'm going to start. First, though, I'm going to start and talk about what's on the needles right now. Right now, I am working on a test knit that I started Memorial Day time frame. I'm a little behind because everybody else had a couple weeks jump on me, so mine's not quite finished, but I'm taking it with me to ZK so that I can hopefully get the last of the panels on. And the test knit is for Shana Cohen, and she has a new pattern that's going to be coming out. It's called Modulancho, and I am test knitting that for her and using 2 guys yarn in 2 of the colors, and then La Jolla on the 3rd one, and it's still on the needles. It's going to be very interesting when I get to wear it. It's going to be multifaceted to be worn, and I'm looking forward to it. And at the moment, it looks a little short and narrow for my body, but rest assured, I did block it, part of it in progress, and you can see where I did that to see how it was going to come out, and I'm not worried about that because it's going to really, the stitches in this yarn, both the yarns are going to bloom out, and I'll have plenty of space. So I'm hoping at the end of the weekend maybe to have this finished. As well, because there's going to be a lot of knitting time. So that is really what has been on my needles for the most part. I showed you the Sunny Baby blanket that I was knitting on for a baby shower that is also this weekend, and that has already been gifted off. So I did get that done, which I'm pleased that that's all set to go. So I have one more baby blanket to get done, and I'm taking it with me as well because that baby probably when I get back will be born, and I will have to gift that off to the recipient. So I'm going to be doing some knitting on some of those things. I still have lots of cowls to knit. I'm taking a couple of those with me to ZK because those again are easy to knit in public and knit with friends during conversation, and to throw in the purse and knit on at almost any time. So that is really what is on my knitting needles and what I've been knitting lately. The purpose of today's podcast is to talk about summer of shawls. Every summer in the past, for past few years, I really try and concentrate on shawls for knitting for several purposes. I like to have a shawl on the go because I do knit socks, but I don't knit socks like everybody else does, as many of them. And so I like to have a shawl in my purse or as a go-to knit in public knitting because they're a relatively easy one, let's put it, because they're easy to knit on in public and at the drop of a hat as well. But I also like them for in my job right now, and I have, for the most part, in the wintertime, I wear a lot of turtlenecks, pants, and I wear a shawl. I throw a shawl, or mostly a shawlette, over my shoulder, or around my neck, around my shoulders, or whatever, so that I can keep warm. So I wear a lot of shawls, and I want to change some up for this next season. So also, but for others who don't necessarily wear them in the wintertime, shawls, I think, are a great thing to have in the summertime, because a lot of times you're in the air conditioning, at the grocery store, at a movie, at a restaurant, in church, and even just if you go to a ball game at night and it starts to get cool, you can throw a shawl over your tank top or your t-shirt to keep warm. And I always have one, I have a wrap always in the back seat of my car so that I can throw it on whenever I need it, wherever I'm at, if I fail to throw a sweater in or traveling or whatever. So I think shawls are a great project and a great thing to knit on for this summer. And that's why we're going to be starting our Summer of Shawls. Starting on Friday, kickoff in the Ravelry group, is Friday, June 22nd. Double check my notes there. Yes, the 21st is the official start of summer. Here comes the garbage man. We have 3 garbage type things that come through on Tuesday. The garbage man, the lawn guy, and the recyclable. And I live at the start of a dead end, and those 3 trucks, between the 3 of them, is probably 9 or 10 trips up and down the street, because they don't just go up and get this and go down and get that. They go back and forth and back. So that's what we're hearing today. But hey, it's better than the lawnmowers that were out earlier this morning, because everybody is retired and Tuesday must be their lawn day. Just a little rant, guys. What can I say? Maybe in a year or two when we're retired, Tuesday will be our day too, as well. But anyway, back at it. Knit along. Summer of Shawls in the Ravelry group. Starting Friday, June 21st, we will knit through Sunday, September 22nd, which is the last day of summer. And I've opened a thread in the group, and the KAL will go on. It can be something you have, a whip. It can be something you're casting on, new. You can talk about in the thread about shawl patterns you want to knit, yarns that you have that would be great for shawls, designers. It's wide open for the Summer of Shawls. And during the summer, we will do prizes on an occasion, randomly. And so I'd love for you to join me over there to talk about Summer of Shawls and give me some ideas, talk about them. Tell me how you wear them. I do a lot of triangular shawls, as is this one. And a lot of times I knot them and what have you, or try and put them onto the side with a knot to give a little different look. Tell me how you wear them. Let's talk about that in the thread. Talk about designs that you like to knit. That would be great too, because get me out of my rut of triangular and crescent shaped. It's wide open for the Summer of Shawls, and I hope you'll join me. So one of the things that I'm going to do, and I want to say this summer, this focus of the podcast is going to be shawls. I'm going to pull out shawls that I have knit, talk about them, give you some ideas, and just talk about some of those designers. I'll show you a few every week and throughout the summer. I'm also going to talk about books this summer are going to be shawl books that I have in my library. And I'd love for you to tell me about shawls, books, and patterns, again, in the Ravelry group. Maybe there's some down there that I need to add to my book collection. So I'm just going to show you some of the shawl books that we're going to talk about this summer. First up is from Denise Bell. Denise is a friend from Knit Camp. She and Chris have a yarn company called Lost City Knits that dyes some lovely, lovely, lovely yarns. Then you can probably see her at Stitches Midwest, at all the Stitches events. She teaches at other fiber events as well. She is a fantastic teacher, fantastic knitter, designer, and I have a couple of her books. We're going to talk about those this summer. first one is Ultimate Tule, that has some fantastic shawls in this, pie shawls, and hat shawl that we'll talk about in depth, which is a style that I really love, the hat shawl. And then her latest one, Deep Roots. Again, some great shawl patterns in that. We'll talk about that one, about her books. West Knits, Best Knits. Love this one. I have some great one skein yarns. Vertices Unite is in here that I bought some yarn at Stitches Midwest 2 years ago that I want to cast on and knit. So we'll talk about some patterns from that. Also from my library, Traditional Knitted Lace Shawls. This is an interweave knit book, and this is by Martha Waterman, and has some great stitch patterns in it, some step-by-step instructions for some pie shawls, and I can't wait to share some of these things with you as well. Traditional knitted lace. Yes, knitted lace takes a long time, which I will own up to later this summer. But love this book, love the thoughts in this one. We'll talk about that. A gift that I received is wrap style, different kinds of wraps, not just your normal wrap that you're used to. We'll talk about this book, and some of the thoughts in this. This is an interweave book as well. And then also Stephen and Stephen Tour. We'll look at this a little bit. This has some designs particularly from Stephen West. Back in his younger days, I do believe. There's Shark Tooth. And so there's some nice ones in here that I'd like to look at as well. He has, Stephen B. has a couple in here. It's called the Mermaid Shawl. And we're going to look at that. And bolting. This was one that I'm just dying to cast on as well. This and bolting. Stephen West. So we'll look at that. Oh my gosh, there's so many, when I look at these, there's so many shawls that I want to knit. Not enough summer to do it, or not enough time. Book we'll kind of look at is Curls, another one. This is by Hunter Hammerson. Some unique ideas in this that I want to investigate. And we'll look at that one. And again, this one's from the Best of Knitters Magazine, Shawls and Scarves. And originally I purchased this one because it has some Meg Swanson easy shawls in it that I wanna look at. It has Joan Schroeder has some in here as well, and just some great things. Snowdrops and Snowflakes. There's a little one here. There's Meg in it. And so we'll talk about that book as well. And then we will show patterns from a good friend of mine out of Folk Shawls. This is Cheryl Oberle's book. If you don't have this book, guys, and you can find it, you need to get it. It has all kinds of different shawls in it, and I'm going to talk a lot about Cheryl Oberle over the summer because she is such a sweet woman. Designed some really cool, not only I'm a recipient of some of her patterns in this book, but she has a knitted jacket book. She has a folk vest book that I have. She has other Faroese shawls that we're going to talk about, patterns that I'm going to show you that I've knit from her, and we're going to spend a lot. I'm sorry, but I'm a fan. I'm a fangirl of it, and I think it's because Cheryl is so super, super nice. A great knitter and a very nice woman. So I can't say enough about this book as well. And we're going to talk about that one in depth. I'm going to talk about patterns as well. I'm going to show you those and just kind of all kinds of things, all things shawls this summer. So I hope that you will join me. And I'm going to show you first of all, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a shawl that I have on the needles. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. This is, excuse me, a summer project. This particular shawl is called the Bamboo Wedding Shawl. This is a free pattern on Purl Soho. And some friends of mine have knit quite a few of these. A few years back, my knitwit friends here in Peoria, we knit a bamboo wedding shawl for our friend Kendra before she got married. And this is just a great, super great pattern to knit. You have to pay attention to it, so this is not one that I take in public. But I had this idea that I would like to knit one for my future daughter-in-law. Wedding is in August. One shower was last weekend. Next shower is July 20th. And I thought, I could do this for the July 20th shower. Yeah, I have grand ambitions. That is, if I was not working and I never slept. So I got this great idea last week from Sue. Of Legacy Fiber Arts, that they were talking about, she was talking about how she used to knit shawls, or maybe still does, knit shawls for her church, and that the bride-to-be would get them on the night of the rehearsal. And it was given not as you have to wear this, but as a token of your upcoming marriage. And I thought to myself, this might be doable. This might be something that I could present to my daughter-in-law to be the night of rehearsal dinner. No expectations. She doesn't know that she's getting it. So if I don't finish it, I don't have to worry about gifting it. But I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try when I get back from ZK to be working on this at quiet times on my bamboo wedding shawl. Now, originally what I bought for this yarn, for this shawl, was handmade in sea silk in the ivory. And this is, it is a lace weight yarn. And what I decided afterwards was it wasn't the color that I wanted. It was too varied. There was too much gold into it. So I forwent that and happened to have something else in my stash that I could use for that. Now, that said, I have one skein of this sea silk. It's 70% silk, 30% sea cell. There are 437 yards in this skein. This is going to be our first prize of the Summer of Shawls. So, next week, what I'm going to do after I get back from ZK is I am going to do a random number generator, and I'm going to gift this to somebody who posts in the Summer of Shawl Ravelry group. It's a luscious yarn. It is lace weight, and it just feels lovely. So anyway, this is going to be our first prize in the group. Going to choose it for next week after we get back and let everybody know who is the recipient of it. So when I decided that that was not the colorway I wanted, I went to my stash, and I had in it another handmade yarn that I had lots of yardage on, and this is also ivory. It is called Flaxen, and it is 65% silk, 35% linen. And it was more in keeping of where I thought I wanted to go. And you can see it has a little bit of gray, a little bit of beige, rosy in it. And this was more in keeping the colorway that I was hoping to get, and not so much creamier on that. So I am using Flaxen, and I have cast on. And I've not gotten very far because I've been really doing a lot with the Modulancho. But I have started it, and I think I'm going to like it. So that is the start of the Bamboo Wedding Shawl by Pearl Soho, a free pattern. Isn't that going to be cool? And if I don't get it done, it may be mine. Because it is a wrap, but I'm really going to try my best to get it done in time for the rehearsal dinner that night. And I will give the same caveat to her if it goes to her, that I don't expect her to wear it on a wedding day, but I thought it would be just something really super fun as a token from her future mother-in-law, something to wrap her in love before coming officially into the family. So that's what I have in the works and my knitting. And my shawl that I'm going to wind yarn today for, that I'm going to cast on while at ZK on Friday for the Summer of the Shawls, is, here's the yarn that I'm going to. This was a birthday gift, birthday or Christmas gift from my friend Becky in the past couple of years. And I'm really going to try this summer to be working and using on my gift yarn, because I have some really cool gift yarn. I love, oh, look how it goes with that top. I have some really nice gift yarn, and I want to work on those shawls this summer as well. So this is going to be the two yarns that are going to go together. This one, if you can see, has a little bit of sparkle to it. And this one is, they both have sparkle to them. Do you see that? This yarn is another Crafty Girl. It is called Spiked Tail, and it's Twinkle Sock. It is 75% merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. And it was created on 6/20/2015, okay? And then the other yarn that I'm going to use is Diamond Dust Sock from Neon Unicorn Studios. This is colorway Ephemeral Waves. And it's got some blue in that in it. So I'm going to wind these two so I can take them with me. You should see my bag that I just have, you know, just in case knitting for retreat this weekend. Yeah, I have enough yarn and projects staked out that everybody at the retreat, if they left theirs at home, they could knit on that. But anyway, this is what I'm going to wind and cast on. And the pattern that I'm going to do is from Antonio Shanklin, and it is called the Shadow Shawl. This is a free pattern that was gifted to me. So I'm going to do this Shadow Shawl out of the two yarns. And I'm looking forward to this cast on. This is going to be my first summer of shawl to cast on. Yes, I have other whips that are shawls related that I could pull out. But this is just for fun to officially cast on, and I'm going to go into my bags and find a suitable bag to pop it in, a project bag. So that's what's in store for what I'm going to cast on and what I'm knitting for Summer of Shawls. And so now let's talk about shawls. Let's talk about shawl patterns. Let me show you some shawls I've got. It's like they're all stacked up here. First of all, I'm going to touch on this one that I've got that I knit some time ago. This was out of Chicken Knits yarn that I bought at my local yarn shop. And this first one is called Fog, a Shawl Recipe. This is a free pattern. This is by the Violet Pie. And I'll get close so you can see. It has eyelets and stockinette. This particular one you hold with a lace weight stellina in the stockinette piece, and then when you go to the eyelets, then you drop it, and it's just the eyelets in the chicken knits, the sock yarn itself. And this is a nice large size shawl. This is a triangular shawl. Like I said, I have a lot of these that I knit on. I like to just throw them on if they're big enough like this too. The biggest problem I have is how to wear them, and we know that. But here, this is, okay, you can see that it's very, very large. The yarn is just scrumptious, and this is Fog, a Shawl Recipe, and just super, super loved it. Love knitting on it, and I love wearing it, and it's comfy, cozy. It can go over over almost anything and keep you warm. And it has me as well while I was sitting here. So that is Fog, a Shawl Recipe by the Violet Pie. Next one I'm going to show you is called Multnomah. And this is also a free pattern. And there are you can make this larger. Mine, when I cast on, this was a hand dyed from Heidi Designs, I want to say, yarn. And so I only had one skein. And this one is a super neat little go-to that I like. And so it's not huge. It's just a throw over the shoulder type shawl. Because like I said, I had one skein of it. And I love this one for wearing over a red top, denim top, green top. This is great for casual days, not in the winter, in the summer, and whenever. Nice, just little throw one, little accessory. Reminds me of my friend Pam from the Knitwits here in Peoria. She is never without some sort of shawl. It can be a large shawl or a shoulder shawl, but she always has a shawl on, whether it's a tank top or a t-shirt or a dress. And I think they're just throw them on and go, and you always have something over your shoulders, especially if you're cold like me. But this one is one skein, and you can make it larger if you want to. Again, this is Multnomah. Loved it. Next one I'm going to talk about is Dinner in the Eiffel Tower. Oh gosh, many years ago, our local group did a little Saturday knit along on Dinner in the Eiffel Tower, and Pam led us in that knit along. This is a pay for pattern. And there were all kinds of different yarns that were being used in this one. And I had a Madeline Tosh that I wanted to use. This is the Fragrant colorway. And it is a single, the Mad Tosh. Finger weight yarn. And so I had to start mine over several times because the first time I did it, it was like a little doll one. And the problem was when I first started it is I'm a loose knitter, so I went down needle sizes, and when it came out, it was, I had to rip it out, and then I went back and got another skein in the Fragrant colorway. And so this is Dinner in the Eiffel Tower. Another nice crescent one, which I like this one. And really what I want to do is go back to the pattern now and look and see how we started this, because this does not have that telltale blip that a lot of them do. And I love this one. Again, this is just another one that is super, super fun to throw on. It's that crescent style shawl, a little bit bigger again. And I can just throw it on and go. And it gets a lot of wear out of it in the, a lot of times. And I forget about it, but it really would be one, again, in the summertime, springtime, I wear a lot of 3/4 sleeves, so this definitely could just be thrown on still in the spring and summer. Workplace is chilly. I can throw it on, take it off when I don't need it. So this is Dinner in the Eiffel Tower. Next one I'm going to show you today is Lala Simple Shawl. And this is one of the half of the Knit Girls. This is a free pattern. And you can go out and check out all the different ways and yarns that this has been done in. You can make it smaller or larger. And I made this many years ago when we knitted at Knit Four Together out in Dunlap. A shawl. This is out of Tayo sock yarn. And it has linen in it. It is not a woolly yarn. It is great for the summertime wearing or springtime wearing because it is not a woolly wool. It probably has some linen in it. It has some silk on it. It's called Tayo, T-A-I-Y-O. Another triangular shawl, but a nice one to throw on. And would be maybe a fun shawl for a beginner knitter to knit on as well, because you do some eyelets, you do garter, you do stockinette. So this might be an idea that it would be a nice one for a beginner knitter to cast on as well. And again, the thing I like about it is that it is big, easy to throw on. If you want to, tie it up, and not super, super hot. Again, goes with this one as well. It's interesting. So that one is Lala's Simple Shawl. Next one is Bermuda Shawl. This is a pay pattern as well. I knit this a few years back, and I like this one. This has short rows in it, so there's some interesting knitting going on in that one. I knit this for one of my knitting camp contests. I can't remember what the theme was that year, but there was a theme, and I cannot remember what it was. But anyway, one night I was coming home, and I could see as I was coming home, it was a beautiful sunset coming down, and it had these perfect colors of a sunset. And so there was at the time Moonshine and Madness was dyeing yarns on Etsy, and I messaged her and said, hey, I'm looking for a gradient yarn in finger weight that would look like the sunset, the colors of a sunset. And she came back with this colorway, and I love this shawl. This is a shawlette. But here you can see again, there's short rows in it. And again, if I had more, I could have went on and on with it. It's a scrumptious yarn, and I love this one. This is another one. This is another one I wear a lot in the wintertime because I have almost all of these colors in a turtleneck or a 3/4 top, and I can wear these. I can put this on all the time, and I love the look of it. It stays on really super well and keeps the shoulders and arms warm. And it was fun to knit because there was some short rows on it. There was some interesting construction, kind of kept your wits about you while you were doing, but it was super, super fun and would be great in a gradient. So this is the Bermuda shawl. And I'll show you cannot pronounce her name, but that is the designer. And one that I love, and I want to say that year I placed kind of high up in the contest when I did this. I cannot remember for certain, but I loved it and it was fun to do. So that's Bermuda shawl. And then another one that I'm going to show you is called Meteor Shower by Jilo Spyro. She is the dyer behind Knit Circus Yarns. This is a pay pattern, Meteor Shower. And this one, it was done out of one of Knit Circus's yarns. And again, I had one skein, and so I just knit it. And this is a great spring summer shawl. It's nice for winter and fall as well, but this is nice, one of those that you can throw on. It looks springy as well. It is a crescent shape. And I just knit it until I was done with the gradient that I was given. Calls for 1 cake. So it was somewhere between it was 415 yards on this one. And again, this is another one of those nice little crescent shawls. And the cast on was not too terribly, again, we don't have that nice little hump. Part of it came out in blocking, but I really liked this one as well. And then finally, the last one I'm going to show you is another one from Jila. This one is called Silk Moon Crescent. This is also a pay pattern. This one I knit probably 10 years ago. It is out of Liberty Wool. And I wanted to see what happened with that. A lot of people, when they knit this Silk Moon Crescent back in that time, was doing like a watermelon gradient so it looked like a watermelon slice, or you could do a silk. You could do a slice of like an orange or citrus or something. And I just wanted to see what this one would do out of Liberty wool. And so I used my Liberty wool for it. And again, simple little pattern, has some eyelets in it. It has it's all garter. Was fun to knit, one that you could knit without paying a whole lot of attention. So I remember I was knitting on this on the way to my daughter-in-law's wedding shower 10 years ago-ish. And again, great over. I can't say enough about some of these crescent, and I think that's why I gravitate to both those with triangle and crescent, because you can just throw them on. I love the crescent because almost always you just throw it on and it's good to go. And it stays there. It has reminiscence of Faroese that we'll talk about this summer. And I think that's what I like so much about the crescent shawls. So why it is such a favorite, and both of them in my knits, and that I keep going back to. So that is just some of the shawls that I have in my wardrobe that I wanted to tell you about this time. I have another stack for next time. All kinds of shawls. I'm surprised at how many that I have, how I've gravitated toward, and we'll talk about those this summer. I only have one more thing that I'm going to talk about that I just received in the mail, and these are shawl cuffs, shawl and cowl cuffs. These particular ones, a lot of people are selling these. These are handmade by Knox Mountain Knit Co. Upcycled leather cuffs for styling your knits. And we'll have these for our knits this summer. The premise on those is that you can tie your like a triangular shawl. Instead of tying it, you can put this in there, and it will hold it together with a little style to it at the same time. So they have some options there. These that I purchased for myself came from Chelsea Pearls, Chelsea Knits out east, and I ordered those. And the thought is, you can put your little shawl through there. There you go. And perhaps this summer we'll give away one of those too as well. There you go. That's the shawl and cowl cuffs. I'll have to try it on my cowls. I am still knitting on my cowls for my 40 cowls project. I am taking a couple of those with me this weekend, again, because they're easy to knit on in public as well. And so I think that's all I have to talk to you about. I hope that you will join us in Summer of Shawls in the Ravelry group. Thank you so much for sticking with me. If you are so inclined, please subscribe to get notification when the new podcasts are up, and comment below, comment in the Ravelry group. I do really appreciate those of you who are coming back and watching, whether you subscribe or not. It's fun to do, and I would love to see our numbers go up, but if they don't, I'm happy just talking to you all. So off to ZK tomorrow. I have a little bit more packing to do and some cleaning up to do, and sit down tonight and do the show notes before I upload this, because I know if I wait that they won't get done. You'll get iffy ones like these last ones. But thank you, and I hope you have a great couple of weeks. And if you are going to ZK, I'll see you tomorrow. I am so looking forward to it. Debbie and I are too. We're just going to have a great time and knit some shawls this summer. So until next time, knit on with confidence and hope. Have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.